So I guess I want to show off what might happen. Maybe get some feedback. Yeah.
Nice.
Hello everybody, my name is Swarha. Just moved to Singapore for 3 weeks now. So it's been thank you. What I'm building now it's the foundations for an interactive animation engine for helping educators create much more immersive content. But how I'm doing that is, first I'm building a community around graphics. So anything around WebGL and WebGPU, let me know. We'd love to chat with you. And I'm going to be showing the site today. So if you're interested, be sure to add.
All right, hello everyone. I live across the street, so I just come here regularly during the day, nights, and weekends whenever I need to focus or want to hang out with people who are adults. Last 10 years I've been in venture studios, either on the corporate side or finding early stage founders to invest in basically their first check. Not doing that at the moment, and just kind of exploring all things here in Singapore and working on AI like kind of everybody else. Just looking forward to connecting with people. So does anyone care about like little tools and workflows? Like I tend to build a lot of things that take like just a couple hours, and I'll use it for like one particular thing, and then I'll move on to like something else. Does anyone want to see anything just like, okay, cool, I'll show something that I recently did, so cool. Oh, sorry, Tony.
Hi guys, I'm Russell. I think this is my second time here for the co-working sessions, but I've been here for other events in the past. I have only, I think 2 weeks ago, started on basically a little validation project on whether LLMs could be potentially revolutionary to the people matching experience. Could they condense and capture our interestingness, regardless of whatever context it might be, whether it be romantic, networking, sports partner, and yeah, I'm currently running an experiment right now to see if this actually makes sense to pursue commercially. I'd love to chat more if you're interested in it at all.
Great.
I'm Arjun, founding engineer at Sudhir. So we're a marketplace for MCP servers. And we build dev tools around to help those building agents. You can chat more if you are building agents or MCP skills.
Okay. Hi, I'm Greg. So I previously was a startup founder for the past, since 2024, and I was funded in SF by JCal, if anyone knows this week's startup podcast. But then after that, this December, I decided to close down my startup, and create an agency, not an AI one, but a design agency, because we were funded for our design mainly. So now we're doing branding, web, and product work for a lot of startups in US who needs either production work or they need better branding to sell their story better to the investors or to other clients. Because if you know, with AI, a lot of startups are coming out, so features are no longer the differentiation, but rather the taste of the design, aesthetics, plus also the story of the founder. So that's basically what I did for my own startups, and now I'm trying to do for other startups.
Nice. All right, so I'll kick off the demo with my own. I'm Michael, I'm the founder of the space. And so I've left this hanging for a long time, but I recently, after restarting co-working Fridays, I realized that I have to practice what I preach, like build and demo. I've never demoed anything before, even though I host a ton of demos and presentations. So here's that. And also recently at the stage, we started getting people to speak, right? So the ones that really stuck with me, for example, John, 2 weeks ago, he was building bespoke software without engineering team. And what I learned from that was that now with AI, the most important thing that you should do is to be familiar with the systems of how AI works, and you can come up with workflows that helps you build things, right? So that's the first takeaway. And then Jeremy shared a few weeks back also on building trust in the age of AI. What does it mean to create trustworthy AI agents, right? And the formula for that in a very brief way is just trust is equals to expectations and reality align. And agents that you will trust tend to remember you, so you don't have to restart conversations, you reduce the friction. So we run co-working communities, and with that, one of the core things that we do is actually to connect people, right? So, there's limited time on, we are quite a lean team. A lot of people come through our space, so I think in the past year, at least like 10,000 has come through to SQ Collective for events, for co-working and all that. But how do we connect them? So similar to what Russell is doing. In fact, Russell has inspired me to restart this project that I left hanging for the longest time. Okay, so an AI agent, AI coding models have become so much stronger. That's the result, right? So I'll share some of the takeaways. So this is, let me just, So what I'm building is AI community manager called Kai. Right, and so Kai has his own website. This is designed by AI, like one shot, without anything. Basically, the workflow is like that. We ask Kimi K2.5 to go to Framer. Framer is a web design platform. Find some templates and just copy it wholesale. So that's what I did. So that's what Kai did, right? And so Kai has a face. This is him with lots of pens. So he's quite a geek. So basically the idea behind Kai is actually a copy from body.ai. If any of you have used it, basically you do a 20-minute call with this AI agent and he will connect you with investors, founders, operators, researchers, whatever. Right? And so since we have a community here, we wanted to build our own community manager of sorts. So same, have a chat with him. He will go to the database and match you with someone that is relevant to you, right? And inspired by Russell once again, the match is always explained, like there's always a reason, very clear reason why you are matched. When both sides consent, then the match is put together and you can meet each other or whatever. Right, so in terms of user experience, what I learned from building this is that the user experience has to be kept minimal as possible. The tech can be heavy, but the user should not be the one that has to interface with all the tech at the back. So just like how iPhone is designed, you want to keep it minimal, right? You want to cut away features, you want to make it as seamless as possible. And for this experience, I feel like the calling part is super important. It's very natural. Someone calls you on WhatsApp, you pick it up, you just have a chat. That's not like form filling. It's not like you have to go through a long process of networking, right? You might attend some of the events at SQ Collective, you fill out some forms, and then you have a call. The call is designed in such a way that it mimics a natural conversation. So it's work in progress, but here's some takeaways. So at the back of it, there is some design considerations. I wouldn't call it fully fleshed out. It's my first rodeo. So some things like progressive disclosure. In a normal phone call, you wouldn't just jump in and ask like deep personal questions. You usually have some small talk, blah, 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 what are you working on? And then the agent is designed to latch onto a certain topic that you think is interesting by measuring some of your prosody, which means how you talk, how you express yourself, and all that, and gradually move you across stages. So in this design, there are actually implicit states, meaning that you start off with very small talk, you progressively move through the stages, so that eventually you disclose more and more of yourself. And I find it a much more like frictionless experience. Sometimes when you are typing, you still feel skeptical, but in a chat, sometimes you reveal a bit more than what you want. And so I think this is, as a way to collect data, it's pretty powerful. Right, so I talked about implicit tracking. So we track across a few of these scores. They remember what you said. That's super important. If you have to repeat yourself, it totally spoils the experience. Right? If you have come for an event and he forgets, that sucks as well, if he's a community manager. And then of course, in designing, how do you build rapport? The turns of the phrases are pretty interesting. How do you do that at scale? I still don't know. Yeah, and also the last thing is trigger-based, which means that when the user says, okay, I want to end the call, you should end the call. Sometimes the agent keeps trying to probe you for things even though you end the call. That's very annoying. So these are some of the things that I designed inside. This one I'll skip. Yeah, so in designing this, I realized that there is a fine balance between code and prompt engineering, right? With prompt engineering, the problem with AI is it tries to make you happy. If you like talking about a topic, it will go down that rabbit hole forever until you feel very satisfied. But in this case, we have to put together a certain process to collect the relevant information so that the match will be good. Right, so yeah, for example, introductions and false before. Okay, so at the start of every conversations, there must be introductions. So the LLM will decide whether the introduction is made or not before it will move to the next turn, right? And then before any important information is collected, the AI will not move to the next stage. So these are some of the details of all this design. And then of course, like, because we don't have our own methodology of what works in a conversation, we try and take some of the principles that we know. Cialdini's book on influence, how you phrase things, how you mirror, how you do things like show vulnerability. If you're not good, say, I'm not good, give me chance. All these things factor in, okay? And yeah, so the biggest thing, breakthrough for me, this round is that in the past I used to do like very manual work. I will prompt once, I will check the results. And because the scope is beyond my own capabilities, I don't know what went wrong. Okay, and so I redesigned the process based on what I learned from John, is that you have to set out the process very well. And for me, what worked was going back to the fundamentals in terms of what a human would think is important for conversations, break it down into dimensions, and give those dimensions a score. Okay, so in this case, the perfect score will depend on the quality of the conversation, the discovery process, the accuracy of the data that's been extracted, the quality of the match at the end, and also in terms of stages, how well the AI complies with it. Right? So these are important to me, and I say, so I told the AI, you need to hit 25 out of 25 before you can move on. Okay, so what happens is, I will set up a simulator, right, where there are multiple agents working on different things. So there will be an agent being Kai, right, who's the one asking questions. There will be another agent who is the simulated guy calling Kai, and there will be at the end a smart judge. So the judge is always the most powerful model, and he will be the one that assesses everyone, that conversation on the scoring. Okay, so and the reason, you don't have to use different models, but the reason why you have to split up the roles is because you don't want the context to pollute each other. So let's say you have Claude that's building something and judging at the same time. What happens is Claude will get tunnel vision. He will keep building and validating himself. And as a builder, he's actually incentivized to quickly finish the build. And so the first iteration, when I did a single loop, what happened was that Claude built something that matched based on strings. He said, oh, I did a great job, but the matching is string-based. So in the back end, the person said VC, and person B said VC with da-da-da experience. These two won't match. And Claude decided it was very good. ran 600 tests, perfect, push, commit. It was very bad. And so with this, what happens that when you open up a simulation environment, Claude will keep building until Codex says it's good. Okay, so I went to sleep after setting this up, and they went through 90 iterations. And then finally, they hit a score of 25 out of 25. First iteration, it was 12, because the match quality was lousy, like 100 leads, 0 match, because it was matching based on a very simple string-based kind of algo. Yeah, okay, there was something, it's okay. So yeah, like as a non-technical person, you don't actually know what has fallen apart at the back end. So little things like 0.5, 0, in terms of weighting some of the factors, you don't know. And if you trust Claude, the building agent, to tell you, you will be in for a big disappointment. But if you have someone else telling Claude that he's not passing the score, then the result is actually much better. So actually in this whole process, the human is still very important. For the first 20 iterations, what happened, as you can see, there are 5 dimensions, right? What's happening is that everything starts at 0. Claude goes in, builds dimension number 1 to 2, to score number 2, and then that's first round. Second round, he builds dimension number 2 to a score of 3, but the first dimension breaks. Right, so when there are 5 dimensions, what happens is everything keeps going up and going back down, going up and going back down. And so the human has to come in and say, hey, that's not a good strategy. You did 20 iterations and the score did not improve. How can you do this differently? And so I came in and I told Claude, which are the 2 most important criteria that is upstream of everyone. Make that 5 first before you work on the others. And it turns out for this particular scoring metric, the 2 most important criteria is extraction accuracy and also the matching quality. So optimize that, get that to 5, and then you work on the conversation, naturalness, and all that. So humans are still important. You have to observe, even you set up multiple loops to do all these things. Right, so that's some of the learnings I had over the time. I won't do a demo, a bit shy, so if you want to have a chat with the bots, let me know. So I plugged in, so the calling part is not ready yet, but I plugged it into the robot, so there's a robot here. This is an extension of the exploration of emotions, because this robot has this antenna that can move around, it can bounce. So also testing the part about the user experience. How do you build trust with all these micro gestures? So on top of speech, it tries to do like cute head shakes. It has a cute voice. Yeah, so that's all from my learnings. Thanks so much. Yeah, so who's next? So,
Can we ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
But Michael, you said the code enforcement. How did you do that, by the way?
Which one?
Were you using some sort of code enforcement? Of like, hey, validating, did you meet this score or not? Were you using that in some tool that helped you set up that logic?
Oh no, so how it works is all within the same terminal window. So it's just like that. What you can do in Claude Code now is spin off background agents, right? And this simulator is actually a code that Claude wrote himself. My process now is always to ask Claude to write a piece of code, Codex to always review. Okay, when it passes, actually the thing runs on its own, and it's all powered by Claude Code. So for small scale experiments like that, you don't actually have to push it to a tool. There are a lot of open source ones as well that does simulation for conversation, but you can just ask Claude to wire around.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If no questions, then who's next? Anyone? Yourself? Yeah, let's go. Okay, also, on a separate note, this is also learning for myself. Like hanging out in the community helps, because if not, then I would have left this project in the back, in my storeroom. And one of the important things that I learned is that we have to have a community come together to push each other towards the next stage. Now everyone's doing vibe coding but stuck at the tinker at home stage, and they never dare to like demo. So this is me drinking my own Kool-Aid and doing the demo and moving myself to the next stage. Hopefully I can productize this. Hopefully I can sell this, whatever, or create value for the community. So I will say that for everyone here also, if you are tinkering, next time come and demo, okay? Yeah.
I don't have any.
Scaling is off. I think because it's in mirroring.
Huh?
Oh, okay. I think it fixed it now. Yeah, I think the buttons are not showing up because of the scaling was off, but I think it's fine now. Okay, so hi everyone. This is the app that I built for the ARM hackathon. I think whatever solutions that I build are something that to solve a problem that I faced in real life. So this is something where for job interviews, whenever I was trying to practice, there is no meaningful way to get objective feedback. So, or even if there is, it's very expensive, or there's professional tools out there that you have to kind of spend your money and time on. So I thought that I'd give this a go because I've always been building websites and I've never built an app. So this would be something fun to learn. And I think it's way easier now to do with Cloud Code and AI because, it is what it is. Final Round is the name of the app. What this basically does is it's an interface on any of your iOS devices. The Mac version is still in review, so that'll take some time, but the iPhone and iPad versions are out, and you basically give it a bunch of parameters of what you're interviewing for, what the target role is, what is the entry level, what is the level of the role that you're applying for? Is it entry level? Is it more senior? And then I use Grok in the backend to the inferencing engine to sort of generate questions based on that. You also set up your profile when you download the app, so it gives you personalized questions. So if you are an entry level engineer and you're trying to apply for a more senior position, the questions are generated accordingly. So it uses the true depth camera that is there on iPhones and just the normal cameras on iPads and Macs to sort of detect your eye contact. That is, I think, a metric that helps gauge confidence scores in interviews. And the way it works is I'll show you a demo later, but it has the questions overlaid on the screen. So you're just looking at yourself and answering. And you can just skip or answer and iterate and just try to improve. I think, in the future, I was trying to work on the Android version, but I think it's hard to get a test device and the rules are a bit different for that, so I'm still working on that. So let me show you the demo. This is the app. So as you can see, you can These job listings are returned by the Grok API again using the web search API, web search feature. And you can click on any one of these, and these will show you what the description of the job is. You can also view information about the company. And if you generate an interview for this specific job, you can see that there are multiple categories, the difficulty level, and your experience level. So all this personalizes the questions based on whatever is sent to Grok. And then once you start the interview, so this is the overlay. There you can see the eye contact percentage. So if I look at it, it'll go up, and then if I look away, it'll sort of go down, and this is where the questions are populated. It uses again Grok to transcribe what you are saying and then gauge it after you answer it. So whatever I'm saying right now has nothing to do with the question, so you'll see I get a very low grade. So I can just end the call prematurely, and you can see that was a D grade because I was not answering the question. But it has a bunch of analysis of your eye contact, your confidence per question. It gives you in-depth analysis of how to improve every question. It transcribes it. Then it also gives you feedback, specific question-wise, so that you can see where you went wrong, what it thinks. And again, this feedback is relevant to your experience level. So if you are a more senior person in terms of experience, it will scrutinize you more than if you're an entry-level person. Yes, and what else? Yeah, so I think in profile, this when you onboard, you can set up all this. You can set up your target role, what your experience level is, what your skills are, where you're located, and I think, yeah, that's it. That's all I want. You can try out the app at the QR code if you want to. Yeah, that's all.
How are you using audio right now?
So it uses the AV signal inputs that Apple provides through Xcode. So it's just an API for whatever mic you have connected, it defaults to that and gets the audio input from there.
Do you store anything with regards to the voice?
No, nothing is stored. It just transcribes it in real time and then deletes it from the cache.
So no analysis on voice at this point?
It transcribes the voice, yeah, but not like speech recognition, or like not tone recognition, anything like that, yeah. Okay, sorry, you had a question?
It was a super impressive demo, by the way. Question, do you have an idea where you want to take this?
I think I just want to scale it now to maybe have integrations with specific company roles. So if there are companies that are advertising for specific jobs, they can use this to, I don't know, give candidates an opportunity. I don't know, I haven't thought about it that much in depth, but yeah, somewhere along those lines.
I'm going to ask the precursor to that question in terms of like where it's at right now. Have you gotten feedback from people? Any success stories? Any like things that they would want to see improved or anything like that? Just wondering, because obviously being an AI engineer and doing the building and doing that is obviously very, very important. But then also, are you building this for yourself, or are you trying to build this for other people? And then are you getting feedback from them? And are you like using AI to try to like get that, like just wondering where you're at?
Right, so when I initially launched the app, I didn't have any analytics setup, which was a big mistake. But then I recently learned about this thing called PostHog, which I'm using to capture all the analytics. And I'm also using something called Canny, where CANNY, where you can set up a feedback board in the settings. So if whenever users want, they can go and give feedback about the app over here.
Cool.
There's nothing so far because I think I launched it at a later date, so people weren't aware of it initially. But yes, that is a very important this thing.
I think that should be, I guess, a goal for the room, is let's make sure by next Friday, there's a few things up there that way no, I'm serious, like, I'm gonna go try it out as well. Like, I think it would be good for folks to try and to give some feedback. This is really cool.
Thank you. And I think last month, I added a subscription to this so that, because to support the Grok queries, there were like millions of queries coming in. Till now, these are my numbers on revenue gap. So yeah. But analytics are very important. I should have seen that. Seen that in advance. I think that's something I learned for my next step.
Any more questions from the floor? Later, try that.
What was the most challenging part of building this?
I think getting the latency of generating the questions while you're in the interview session, where you saw on the camera view, when you click next, initially it was set up in a way where it called the 120B GPT OSS model on Grok, and although that is very good at reasoning, it is not close to real time, and I was also not sort of caching those results, so if user had like went through that interview again, it would again invoke all that. So I think just getting the whole close to real time feel of a mock interview, that combined with getting the costs down by having like this dynamic model where for location access and all, I would use maybe Llama Instant or something that's cheaper per invocation compared to something that needs reasoning for question generation. So getting that balance was something I learned.
Yeah, maybe something we can talk about that on the cost part afterwards.
Sure. Thank you.
Alright, thanks. So try out that later.
To Tony's point, we're going to give a lot of feedback. That's awesome. Sorry.
I can show something.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm usually loud enough, but testing.
This is for recording.
Oh, it's for recording. Oh, okay. It's not amplifying. Okay. Cool. I always love going after someone who shows something impressive and showing you something I built in a matter of hours. So keep things in context. But so I'm actually going to show you here is just an example of a tiny tool. So this is, I've seen it called boring tools, tiny boring tools, all these different things. But basically what tiny tools are like small bespoke workflows not intended for commercialization. It's something you build for yourself. Why would you do that? Why would you build something for like a customer of one? And it's because, well, you get to personally benefit from it. Sometimes it takes almost as long to find and to learn a new tool versus using or building something from scratch. It also allows you to do something hard-coded, so you don't have to worry about, will this work for this use case, or how will it scale to that, is you can like hard-code in, like even like documents and have it a hard-coded document ID that it goes to and stuff like that. So it allows you to do things in a matter of hours that if you wanted to commercialize it would take a lot longer. And I'm going to show you, I have multiple examples, but I'm going to show you one example, but I just realized that, and I just built this slide just now, but I just realized there's a few design patterns that is typical for the workflows of the little tiny tools that I build. One of them is, especially since MCPs have come along, is using mashups. So if you're building something where you want to see like relational data, using something like an Airtable can be very helpful, so you don't have to build an entire UI from scratch or just open up CSV files in a text editor. You could have it actually build to something that then allows you to use the native features within it. The other one is skill stacking. So now that we have Cloud Skills, another design pattern that I do multiple times is within that workflow, you'll have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I'll build a skill for step 1, then for step 2, for step 3, and then I'll take a skill to say, okay, now run all of these skills, you know, just from one skill. And I also, one of the patterns I do is I like this deterministic aspects of slash commands, where you type slash and then a word and you know 100% it's going to do something, versus a skill where it has to match like the title and description of the skill in order to execute. So for every skill that I create a slash command that literally just is the same name and passes the parameters to that skill, and that's all that it does. That way I can say slash a command and then just do what it needs to do. And then usually I usually have like a single URL parameter. It's very easy to think of, hey, I want to scrape this web page, here's the URL. But it doesn't necessarily need to just be that. It could be that you want to do something with a PRD and you write a PRD in Notion and you give it, or a Google Doc, and you give it the URL to that thing, or you can even have instructions at that URL. So another design pattern I have is I like to do things where you get it to the point where it's abstracted out, that you just give it one URL and it knows exactly what to do. So I'll just give a short example because this is probably too like abstract right now. Okay, so this was me in 2016, where at the time it was still a very new tool called AirTable, and I was managing an apartment search. I was looking for a new apartment, and so every single piece of data you see in here, I manually copied and pasted or wrote in that. So even things like, when do I have appointments, what's the status of it, and then I had a little owner agent table is here, and so it's relational, so I can, you know, map if they have multiple units, I can see multiple units for the same agent. So now let's come to about a month ago. Very similar, but you'll see there's a hell of a lot more data in here. There's images, there is buildings and districts and agents and all that sort of stuff. So all these are relational. So I can go to the building, and if a building has multiple units, or I can go to districts and I can see all of the buildings or units in that district. And then for the agents as well, some of the agents have multiple properties. And then it's really tough to, you know, like I think I went through 55 different units in the matter of 2 weeks. And so most people start this with like the search, let me search, and every time a new one's available, it contacts me. I actually found the discovery very easy. What was the struggle was keep all the ones I was interested in, keeping track of them, keeping track of my conversations with the agents. So I did a few little things that with the agents, I just tap on this little link, and if I tap on the link, it actually opens up WhatsApp and goes straight to the conversation that I was having with that agent, so I don't even like need to add them to the address book or anything like that. So I can just tap on that to do it. And then another one was appointments. So if I put in an appointment time, let's say right here, here's an appointment time. I had both an iCal or a GCal that I created a button, and it opens it up and it automatically creates the event. And then if I scroll down, it has like all of the listing information, so I can easily just boom, 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 just easily with one click and then hit accept, just have that in my calendar. And then Airtable has a mobile app, so whenever I'm like, sometimes I was going out to see 3 or 4 places and I can't keep them straight, so I have the mobile app and I can just look and see and tap on the button to contact the agent or tap on the address to get the Google Map URL. And then I'll just show you really quickly, you know, when I mentioned the whole one URL thing is, so I have a single skill mapped to a command called add listings. I can actually give it multiple URLs, but this is just an example of, you know, just give it one URL, and it's actually going to go through and it's going to populate each of these, most of the data, some of it I had to there's using the Airtable AI to generate the description, but if it doesn't see the building, it will create a new building. If the building already exists, it links it to an existing building, same for districts and for agents. Otherwise, it's adding all of this new data, should be added in now at the bottom. But, okay. I haven't run this in a few weeks, so hopefully it works. But yeah, it's going through and it's no duplicate found. Oh yeah, I made sure there was no duplicates and stuff like that. But anyways, it should now start populating, going into the Airtable, adding all the records, all that stuff. So it is doing some scraping right here. So that was the thing with the Cloudflare. I did have to do manually get past the Cloudflare. So now it's actually going and scraping this, and after it finishes scraping it, it's going to go through and then keep running, scrape the data, look at and all that stuff. So anyways, that's it. So I think just the thing I want to kind of show people quite often when I present is I like to show things I only spent a few hours doing, just to show you if you've got similar workflows. I've done this for job applications where I give it the URL and I can create a cover letter and then add a listing to a spreadsheet so that says that I'm interested or applied or whatever and stuff like that. So just wanted to break that barrier down for people to create your own little tiny tools for your own bespoke use cases.
Where was this 2 weeks ago for me? I went through this whole process. It's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I had this tool.
Yeah. Tiny tools. Just build them.
Yeah.
Any questions or? There's one obvious question.
Oh, sorry, no, it's not a question, sorry.
Oh, okay. Are you going to yell at me or give me feedback?
You want a demo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did find a place, and it did help, that's all. By
the way, just now someone mentioned OpenClaw. So we are hosting one OpenClaw meetup on the 27th. So if you're interested, check out our calendar. So just a side thing. 27th night OpenClaw. I've never used OpenClaw myself. So Sophie or Fahad? Sophie first, yeah? Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. How you doing?
Just click. That one is for recording. This is
Hello. Hi. Hi guys. So today, this is my first Cloud Code project. I never built with Cloud Code before. And then a couple days ago, I met this wonderful SQ Collective community member named Troy. And then he was walking me through his workflow. And I was really inspired. And I was like, oh, maybe I can try something. So what I did was that, he was telling me some resources that I can look into. So he was telling me about different tools that I can try and different workflows that I can try. And then I was like, and then who else can I ask to learn more about different tools and workflows? And then I think there's no better place than YouTube. So he recommended these people called AI Jason and Indie Dev Dan, who are YouTubers online who walk you through different AI code workflow. So I was like, okay, then can I use Cloud Code to build something with this? So basically what I did was that I built a Telegram bot with the Cloud Code. So basically I will give a YouTube link to the Telegram. And then, so this interface, this is called Obsidian. It's similar to Notion, or it's like Google Doc. It's an interface that opens your folder and inside the different files. And then the reason why I use this is that it connects the relationship between different nodes. So that's why I wanted to try this out. Let me go back to, I started using it yesterday, so I don't know how it works. Sorry.
The automation, YouTube, Obsidian.
Yeah. One second. I wanted to go back to the list of notes. Obsidian nodes, and then ingredients. So what will happen is that as soon as I send the link to the YouTube, then it will process the YouTube link, it will get the transcript of the YouTube, and then it will tell me that, okay, this person has different type of, how he created his own workflow. So he recommends like different, like the key workflow he has, and then, so it will kind of summarize what kind of key workflow he has, and then it will park into my Note app, and then it will look like this. So I will, up here, AI summarizes key workflow and the purpose, like what kind of problems that this thing solve and how they use it, and then also key resources they use to build this workflow, and then I also have transcript in the bottom. So thank you. Sorry. I get very excited. This is my first time building, so I said, wow, it works actually.
Actually, I use Obsidian and Notion quite a bit, and the problem I have is that when it's AI generated, you get excited building the automations, and then you end up not reading any of the data. That's the problem I have. I don't read shit that they generate.
The reason why I created into workflow is that in the cloud code, you can turn workflow into a custom command, and then I think Obsidian can be a good latent memory space where you can compile different skills and workflow, and then right now I don't have specific problem to solve, but in future because I think right now everything looks like nail because I only have Hammer, I only know how to talk to cloud, but then if I have accumulated skills and tools and I ask Cloud Code, can you go back to my skill list and then see which tool will be most relevant to solve this problem? So right now I initially created the upstreams of the different compilations of skills and workflow, and then in future I'll be like, oh, these are the problems I want to solve, and then who are the experts that I took from YouTube.
Another very good place to get all these skills is Smithery. Smithery is the biggest directory for these skills and MCD servers. So actually you can just scrape from them. They have done a lot of their work. So check out Smithery. They're pretty here, so check it out there. Any other questions for Sophie? Anyone? Okay, so anyway, if any one of you are just starting, can talk to Sophie and she can guide you on how to start.
Yeah, for one project, I got stuck and then I quit for like 2 months, and then I got inspired a couple days ago and then I start again. So if you guys start, I can help you.
Fahad next.
Yep.
Fahad's gonna show some interesting demos and
Yes, so mine is not, all right, maybe, let's see, how can I frame this in such a way that it's interesting?
Maybe share a bit about WebGPU. Yeah, because most people, I think.
Yeah, maybe I should. So this, I guess my goal, is just sharing the screen. Alrighty. While Michael is helping out here, by the way, how many of you have heard of WebGL or WebGPU? All right, perfectly fine. So anytime in the browser you want to access the video card, you have to use WebGL or WebGPU, right? So anytime, if you've ever seen any websites that have like really crazy 2D, 3D animations, if you've seen like AR, VR in the browser, underneath the hood, they're using WebGL and WebGPU. It's a protocol. And by the way, the point of this demo is to share my passion and hopefully inspire you guys as well. But I found myself really interested in graphics programming maybe about 13, 14 years ago. I went to a demo, this was in San Francisco, and one of my colleagues, he just broke apart with his girlfriend, and he did this crazy animation that it was a representation of his feeling, that love was broken, but it was just beautiful. And he did this in the browser. I'm like, holy crap, how did you do that? At that time, WebGL became more or less experimental in Chrome. And he was doing really complex graphics in the browser, and it was really cool to see that. So I became immediately interested in this is the intersection where math, code, and art really meet. So, why I'm sharing this with you, at that time, actually, let me start, by the way, I did not prepare for this, so my apologies. It's going to be more storyline format. So I left my job last year. I took over WebGL.com and WebGPU.com, and I'll be building the entire community for this. I've noticed some traffic coming from Singapore, so it's cool to be here, by the way, for this, because I want to know who these people are. It's a very small group of people, but it should be good. So this space, WebGPU became the default in Chrome late last year, and all the other browsers are also then enabling it. So WebGL 10 years ago was pretty much the default in all the browsers, and now it's WebGPU. Why is that interesting, and why am I in this space? I want to show you a few demos, by the way. This is the community space. These are folks that either I work with or I've connected with, and I showcase their works. But here's one that's really cool, okay? This demo, by the way, I know, I think you've all worked with Figma before, right? Figma uses WebGL. This demo, I'm going to show this. This is a new port. Do we have audio or no? It's fine. So this demo, this is real-time physics rendering and caustics in the browser. And actually, this is a video, right? So let me show you the actual demo. So you can see here, this is 60 frames per second. Right? But what's crazy is that this demo, Evan Wallace, one of the founders at Figma, he wanted to test what browsers were capable of. He built this demo, showed it to his co-founder, and he's like, at that moment, he's like, Photoshop can be done in the browser. This is the moment where all of a sudden everything started going to the browser. All right? So this started Figma, this particular demo. Now it's been recreated with WebGPU, which is far more powerful. Okay, so that's just doing like real-time computation in the browser. And this individual, I'm not sure if you all seen this demo, but this person has basically built an educational platform or educational tutorial visualizing LLMs. So let me show you what this looks like. So this is basically walking through what happens inside an LLM, step by step, right? This one is called AI Grid. This guy is actually a really, really cool demo here. What he did, he basically now, so WebGL, as I mentioned, it was primarily used for rendering. It was all graphics. But WebGPU, now you have general compute with compute shaders. What that means is that we can do general compute. Now it's being used for a lot of AI and ML in the browser as well. So TensorFlow.js, they're all getting WebGPU backends, etc. So this individual, they basically built GPU distributed clusters, and I can access somebody else's GPU in a network and use it for my own compute. So this is fully decentralized, right? And basically I'm just showing these demos to show you what's possible, right? This is McLaren's new landing page, which won Website of the Year. I'm a big McLaren fan, so if you're an F1 fan, they won first place with Lando Norris, which is awesome. But this website just won first place. This is 60 frames per second. Right? So you can see it, you can use it for design, you can use it for general compute, you can do, I used to work in consulting, we use it for digital reconstructions for mine sites. So we basically scanned a mine site and we help blast engineers lay out the plan on a 3D model in the browser, right? So imagine something like Photoshop, but for blast engineers. So I kind of wanted to show you these like 4 or 5 demos across educational, very, very technical in the distributed GPU clusters in the browser. And I want to show you, hey, this demo that happened in 2011 by Evan Wallace was a start point of Figma. What I'm excited about is what is the next, not Figma, but this next pivotal company that will start out because of these capabilities. Those right there, at the cost, right? I'm sorry, you're having issues on the cost part, right? About bringing the cost of the LLMs down, right? I'm curious to see, like, if you use some of the LLMs that you can use with Onyx in the browser, if the performance is sufficient for your free tier users.
Right.
Right, so if you have some customers that also want to pay, you can get some cloud-based computing, but perhaps you can run some of these models. You should try that AI grid to see if some of the experience there is sufficient for you. Perhaps for some of your free users,
Right.
you can use browser-based compute right there.
Right. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Sounds good.
But yeah, so if you any questions, anything I can help out with?
How do you build it? You didn't show us the sausage, like how do you?
So if you want, maybe I can show the inner workings of the animation engine, but with WebGPU, it's the lowest level protocol, right? Generally, people use a framework, 3JS or Babylon.js, if you care about rendering.
Okay.
And then if you want to use, obviously, some sort of LLMs, you use Transformer.js, etc. But a lot of the companies also with WASM is your ability to have native binaries in a browser. You can basically write any code, even natively, and port it over to WebGPU also. So Figma, Miro, a lot of these modern platforms, they actually have all their rendering happening with C++, and they port it over to WebGPU. Right. So there's
Still using engineers to build it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, and it's actually, 100%. And what I'm trying to tackle, right, this animation that I'm building, is how do I have a declarative way of describing an explainer in such a way that the animation can take this declarative structure, render it, and it's not meant to be for technical people. Because what I found, there's a lot of people that know subjects that want to teach it, but they don't have to be programmers. Right? And the output of the LLMs you can generate, there's programmatic videos, but the videos are all static. You don't get to interact with it. Right? So I'm trying to solve for this area.
Cool.
I want to remove the engineers. in that space.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Any others? Alright, so
Thanks everyone for joining the demo day. Very simple one. Hope you found something out of this. Hope you